There is a huge story out of Politico claiming that Barack Obama once said that if Bernie Sanders was running away with the nomination, that he would come out publicly and try to stop him. Now, this is a piece by Ryan Lizza. It's not meant to smear Obama. I mean, Ryan Lizza is a well-known, I guess you could say, neoliberal quantity in Washington circles. So this is not like a public piece trying to smear Obama. It's actually one of many pieces that are within this article discussing what Obama has said privately about various 2020 candidates. So other parts of the piece also include Obama questioning Kamala Harris's ability to appeal to black voters, Obama saying that he's skeptical of Buttigieg, and Obama saying that he views Warren's support as a slight against him. Now, I got to say, Obama does not sound good in this piece. I mean, he does not come off as somebody who is secure in his position, secure in his legacy. He comes off as kind of a jerk and insecure about how he's perceived. So I actually want to dive specifically into the Bernie piece. So I'm going to break down kind of the history behind this that maybe kind of led to this. So I'm going to show you an old clip of Bernie when he was in a public fight against the Obama administration, as well as Obama endorsing Bernie back in 2006, and also just kind of some speculation about why Obama may be doing this, or if he will do this at all. So this from Politico. Publicly, he's speaking of Obama, has been clear that he won't intervene in the primary for or against a candidate unless he believed there was some egregious attack. Quote, I can't even imagine with this field how bad it would have to be for him to say something, said a close advisor. Instead, he sees his role as providing guardrails to keep the process from getting too ugly and to unite the party when the nominee is clear. There is one potential exception. Back when Sanders seemed like more of a threat than he does now, Obama said privately that if Bernie were running away with the nomination, Obama would speak up to stop him. Asked about that, a spokesperson for Obama pointed out that Obama recently said he would support and campaign for whoever the Democratic nominee is. Now, this is interesting. So, I'm going to speculate throughout this video as to why Obama, I guess, feels the need to potentially do this. There are many reasons. I mean, one of them is the fact that Obama is now part of the 1%. So this from BET. Michelle and Barack Obama are buying a $14.85 million Martha's Vineyard estate with a private beach. So one of many reasons, potentially. Bernie Sanders looks to threaten Obama's wealth. So that could potentially be a factor here. In addition to the fact that Obama could be insecure about his legacy and potentially seeing Bernie Sanders be successful with a mass movement of people to actually change things for the better for the mass or for the masses, could make Obama's legacy not look so good. So again, there are many potential reasons for this. And also, I just want to say, like, there's nothing wrong with, Obama enjoying himself now that he's out of office. Nothing wrong with buying a house. Fine. But when you begin to put your thumb on the scale, that's when it becomes a problem. When you begin to put your thumb on the scale to hurt the average person, then that wealth becomes an issue. Now, let me get to how Bernie kind of, sort of, maybe addressed this report. So Bernie didn't tweet anything or didn't say anything directly about this, but he did tweet out an endorsement video from Robert Peters. Now, Robert Peters is the guy that now holds Obama's old state Senate seat. So Bernie tweeted this out saying, or quoting Robert Peters, saying Bernie Sanders understands that in a time of crisis, that being bold is the most realistic option. So that's maybe an indirect way of responding to this report from Politico. Now, let's get to some other videos here. So I covered this recently, this endorsement that Barack Obama gave to Bernie Sanders back in 2006. Let me show this because I think this kind of gives you a window into what both of these politicians were like back then and who's changed and who hasn't.
I think people are ready for a call to action. They want to move forward. They want to have honest leadership who cares about them, who thinks about them first, who isn't going down to Washington so that they can get a bunch of fancy steak dinners and have doors open for them and drive around in limousines and buy fancy suits, which you know you don't have to worry about with Bernie. Where do you get that suit, man? Right off the rack. That's not what they want. They want somebody who's going to fight for them. Somebody who's going to say, you know what, let's have a prescription drug plan that's written on behalf of the people of America instead on behalf of the prescription drug companies. Why don't we try something like that? Let's have a budget that reflects our values and our priorities, that doesn't cut veteran spending even as we claim to be patriotic, that doesn't end up cutting student loans at the same time as you say you want to promote higher education and increase competitiveness for the United States. How about an administration and a Congress that insists on a foreign policy that is both tough and smart? Since right now we've got a party that has the monopoly on the tough-dumb foreign policy strategy. That's what people are looking for. And they will find it in Bernie, and they'll find it in Peter. You will find it in these two gentlemen back here. And you don't have to take my word for it because you know these guys. You've seen what they do.
So, I think it's pretty clear. Actually, a few things are clear from that video. It's a reminder of why Obama was so loved back then. I mean, this is a guy who is a talented politician, a fantastic orator. And somebody who appeared to stand up for the average person. Bernie hasn't changed since 2006, let alone, I mean, Bernie hasn't changed in 40 years. Barack Obama changed. So if Obama were to come out during the nomination process and try to put his thumb on the scale against Bernie Sanders, it would only make Obama look horrible. It wouldn't do anything except hurt Obama. Now, look, I think it would swing people. There are a lot of people, Obama is still well-liked. There are a lot of people in the middle who don't really pay attention, close attention to politics, who would take Obama's word over, the actual movement and facts that are behind Bernie Sanders. But ultimately, when we look back on it, 10 years in the future, it would make Obama look horrible. So, I mean, I'll get into speculation whether I think he would actually do this or not. But just thinking about why Obama would be afraid of Bernie Sanders, I've already discussed how, Bernie being successful could hurt Obama's legacy. It could expose Obama as somebody who abandoned his 2008 movement that he built, whereas Bernie is not going to abandon that movement. He's already discussed, Bernie has how he will utilize that movement as president. But on top of that, it could also expose Barack Obama as a moderate Republican, even though Barack Obama has already admitted to that before.
The truth of the matter is that my policies are so mainstream that, if I had said the same policies that I have back in the 1980s, I'd be considered a moderate Republican.
So there you go. I mean, he said it before. So, and looking at the way he governed, yeah, he is a moderate Republican, essentially. I mean, at least what they used to be back in the 80s. Now, one more video here. So, Bernie also, I mean, potentially, this could also lead to potentially the reason why Obama would be willing to do this. Bernie Sanders, back during Obama's administration, actually fought Obama publicly when Obama was threatening to cut Social Security. So check out this video.
Now, some of you may remember that when Barack Obama was running for president in 2008, he said that he would not cut Social Security. We want the president to remember what he said and not go back on his word. We are not going to balance the budget on the backs of the elderly, disabled vets, the sick, the women, or the children. When 1 out of 4 major profitable corporations pays nothing in federal income taxes, we know how we can deal with deficit reduction in a way that is fair. So what we want from the White House tells us that they want to defend the middle class. That's their mantra. Well, if you want to defend the middle class, you don't cut Social Security, and you don't cut Medicare, and you don't cut benefits for disabled vets. So our job in the coming weeks and months, and what today is about is the beginning of that job, is to rally tens of millions of people who understand that in this country, the middle class, working families are hurting, and we're not going to balance the budget on their backs. Our job is to rally those people and give anybody in the Congress who believes in cutting these life-important benefits, we're going to give them a political choice they can't refuse. And that is, if they vote to cut Social Security, they may well not be returning to Washington. Thank you all very much.
So I had never seen that before. This video was shared by Samuel D. Finkelstein on Twitter. It's from 2013. Again, clearly when Obama was threatening to cut Social Security. And it shows you a number of things. Bernie has always been on the side of the people. You don't have to go to 2013. You can go back to the 1980s, 1990s. You can see that he's always been on the side of people. But even in the face of somebody who endorsed him in 2006, so Obama endorsed him in 2006, as I showed you, Bernie went on to win that Senate race. Despite that potential relationship there, that friendship, Bernie stood with the people. He's always stood with the people, whereas Obama abandoned them after he won in 2008. So this may bother Obama still. I mean, this could potentially be another reason why Obama would come out publicly against Bernie Sanders, against a Bernie Sanders nomination. But let's get to my actual prediction here. I don't think Obama would do it. I really don't. It's totally possible, of course. I mean, he has said it privately, but I don't think he would do it because it would really hurt his image. It would hurt Obama's image. I mean, not to mention potentially help Donald Trump if Sanders still goes on to win the nomination. There was no rationale for doing this. Especially as somebody who I think definitely cares about their legacy, definitely cares about how they're perceived, it would not help Obama at all. Now, if Obama thinks, if he's convinced himself that it wouldn't hurt him, wouldn't hurt his image, then I guess there's a bigger chance of that happening. But I just don't. I don't see it, especially when you have on the other side Donald Trump. It would just be really stupid to try and fight a grassroots movement. I mean, Bernie Sanders has the largest support base out of anybody in this Democratic nomination, this nominating process. Bernie has 4 million individual donations, over 1 million individual donors. Nobody even comes close. Bernie hit 1 million individual donors back in September. No other candidate has even hit that yet. Bernie has broken records across the board in his fundraising. Nobody in the history of the country has raised as much money as Bernie Sanders has from individual donors. He has the grassroots movement. He has the largest volunteer base by far. I mean, go down the list. Bernie has the support from the people. So if you have Barack Obama come out publicly and try to push back against that, there's going to be a serious revolt, and it just would not fly. So, yeah, I don't see it happening. Again, it's impossible to know the actual reasoning why Obama feels this way. I think it likely has more to do with his own wealth and now his own perception of how society is, because he has been successful and he's wealthy. To him, the system totally makes sense. I mean, again, he called himself a moderate Republican. So, I mean, that's his worldview. His worldview is not the worldview that Bernie Sanders has. Bernie Sanders has the worldview of the average working family. Barack Obama doesn't. So I think that says it all. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes. But ultimately, I don't see Obama doing this, even though the threat is there. but I don't see him doing it, and I do see Sanders winning the nomination.